Well, hello and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to Season 2 of 2025 for the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship. This is round number 1 of this brand new season, coming to you tonight from Suzuka. My name is Ron Mullins. Alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Mike Braun. So happy all of you could be with us tonight for the opening race of a brand new season. As a commentator, I'm so happy that we're in Suzuka. What is there to be said about this track? It is absolutely fabulous. Not only is Suzuka storied, historic, and amazing to drive around, it puts on some great racing action too. So Mike, to kick off this season with the F4s, I don't think there'd be a better track to choose.
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, Ron. This is going to be an iconic season. Last season with these guys, they put on a fantastic show, from the dry races to the rain races. So the ones that we thought were going to be a complete train wreck, they turned out to be in spectacular races. So I am super excited to see what this season's going to bring. And I'm sure you're going to lead into it, but we do have some new additions in the classes, moving things around a little bit. I'm really excited to see what happens with some of these classes this week.
Yeah, some new classes here for Season 2 of 2025. I say new, we still have the same classes, but they have been shuffled around a little bit. The Inter-Alien category, which was pretty much just Stephen Case and Stephen Case alone, that has now been switched up. We got the likes of Danush Paraborgi, Christopher Eggert. We also have Alex Velasco, Kalen Michaelwicz. Lots of drivers that we saw contending for that Inter-1 class championship last season. They're now in Inter-Alien, and they're going to be dicing all throughout this season. Looking at the Inter 1 class now, you have some other quick drivers there: Tyrone Da Silva, Joshua Corrin, Jason Kotcher, series admin himself, and Christopher Cook, who you can see a little bit farther down the running order at the moment, classed in 21st. He's also in the Inter 1 category. Inter 2 remains about the same. Got some newcomers to that. You got some newcomers to that class. Got some newcomers to this series as well, making their SRG debut in these F4 cars. Now, these Formula 4 cars, they put on some fantastic racing. We saw that all throughout Season 1 of 2025, and I have a feeling that here for Season 2, it is going to be no different. Got also some schedule of races to look forward to as well. Just about shadow the FIA F4 Esports Regional Tour, the Asia Pacific schedule, the official iRacing series under that name, a very catchy name if I do say so myself. So gonna be running some tracks that we may not have seen last season. Looking through Suzuka, of course, playing host to the opening round of the season. Then we're going to be hanging to the likes of Tsukuba, Fuji, Sandown, Winton, Phillip Island, Motegi. That's going to be a pretty fun race. Oran Park, that track sadly no longer around in the world, but it has been preserved on iRacing. Some other fantastic tracks: Mount Panorama, Okayama, for instance. Just a brilliant schedule of races to look forward to, but I gotta say, of all the tracks in the Pacific region, there are few that can top Suzuka. This 17-turn road course, it's historic, it's fast, and I feel like in these F4 cars, it's going to be super fun for these drivers.
Yeah, there's going to be plenty of room for these guys to run. It's not going to be super tight, but it's got those long straightaways that these guys can have some fun drafting around. Plenty of room, plenty of time, places to pass. Coming down into turn 1, coming into the hairpin, down the back straightaway into 130R. There's going to be a lot of room for these guys to have some good racing action, and there's really going to be no lack of support or lack of action from these guys, and I am really looking forward to these guys.
Yeah, it is going to be a super fun season here for SRG. And as we're still early stages into this broadcast and following this practice session right now, about 10 minutes left to go, let's run through the lap times that these drivers have set. Stephen Case is currently your quickest driver, currently on the board at a 2-minute 1.341, and then little under 0.3 of a second between himself and Danush Paraborgi. Mike, you were on these broadcasts all throughout Season 1 of 2025, so I feel like you can really speak to the type of competitors that we've P1 and P2.
Yeah, it's going to be real tight action. I mean, Stephen Case was the only Inter-Alien all last season. Seeing promotion, Danush, Christopher, Alex, Kalen. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do with them. They got about 0.3 right now, but Tyrone Da Silva might be somebody else to look at to see if maybe we can, maybe add one more alien to this grid. but it's definitely going to changing these guys around is going to make some good action with these guys. They had a lot of fighting with Stephen Case. Now he's going to have his hands full with these guys to try to show them, what an alien truly is with these guys.
Yeah, show the true UFO tendencies, I think, would maybe be the best way to describe when we'll see these alien drivers really flex their muscles and show off the pace that they have. This series is also super competitive as well. I kind of outlined the nearly 0.3 of a second gap between Stephen Case and Danush Barbodri, which I feel like is a little bit unfair, if I'm being honest, because you go from there, you've got Danush Barbodri, currently slotted in P2 at a 201.601. Then Christopher Eggert right behind in the 222 car to 201.680. And then Tyrone De Silva only 17 thousandths of a second back between P3 and P4. As much as this series has some very fast drivers, you also got some drivers who are so close together. We've seen in some of the races in Season 1 of 2025, the fact that these drivers were basically packed in like sardines. Have a feeling, as much as we've had some changes for this brand new season, some things are going to remain the same, and I think these drivers being packed in like sardines is probably going to be one of those constants.
Yeah, no, it is going to be some close action with these. It's good to see a good full grid here with 26 cars on the track right now. We've got 2 cars that are still not, 3 cars that are on track, haven't set a time yet, and we've got 3 other people that have jumped in the server and gone out. So we could have a possibility of about 32 car field tonight, which is amazing for this league. It's going to be good action. Maybe we can do a little ride along with somebody here to see what the track's going to look like tonight. Ron, you want to take us along for a ride along here once I find somebody here that is coming close. Let's see what we've got here.
I think we may have the 41 car heading around turn number 17 right now. That's Ken Glasser, and let's run on board with the Californian currently slotted in P19 in this practice session, heading down this start-finish straightaway, a little bit downhill into turn number 1. This opening series of corners absolutely iconic and really tricky to try and nail down as well. In these F4 cars, which are basically go-karts with wings on them, a little bit tricky to try and nail it heading through there. Now into the S's off through 3 into turn number 4, going up the hill. These tires getting up pummeling as we head off through turn number 5 into 6 right now, balancing the oversteer, which is always so important in these F4 race cars. This is turn number 7 that we're going to be seeing Ken Glasser exit right now. Still having to turn on exit. You don't have to worry about these tires getting their use around here. That is for certain. Heading through the Degner section right now, into Degner 1 through into Degner 2 right now. That's turn number 8 and 9. Under the bridge, under the crossover, heading down into the kink at turn number 10, which leads you directly into the hairpin of turn number 11. While the constants has remained at Suzuka, this track, not a lot of changes made to it, and even in the provisional designs and draw-ups of this racetrack back in the day, that hairpin was basically a constant ever since the track was originally first being thought of, back when the original idea that they had for this track had 3 crossovers and about 28 turns. Now into turn 13, lucky number turn 13 around here. This is a spoon section, which is super important to try and get right, and also may be a bit of a trouble spot for these racers at the very beginning of this race. Getting a good exit out of there is super important because it leads directly on to this back straightaway. Want to keep the momentum, keep the run, and try and get the draft in these race cars, which is super important. Now into 130R of turn 14, one of the quickest and most iconic corners around this racetrack. Now into one of the slowest. This is turn 15 and 16, the chicane. They call it the Casio Triangle, and I think these drivers are going to be trying to fit that triangular block into that triangular hole, because if they try and use a square, it's not going to work. Around turn 17, and that completes a lap of Suzuka, an absolutely fabulous racetrack.
Definitely a great lap going around there. Didn't get the commentator's curse, which is our usual SMB issue here.
Thank God.
Yeah, but good lap from Ken, one of our Inter 2 guys. And as we are winding down now, less than 5 minutes left in this practice session. A lot of excitement with the new season. A lot of things going on. And we see a few guys. We're up to 28 cars now with time on the board. And still got a couple other cars that are out on track. No valid times for them yet. So we're still trying to get everybody on timing. But this is, like you said, this is going to be a great season. I'm really looking forward to it. Tsukuba is not a track that you normally see in leagues. It's an interesting, neat, iconic track on like Forza Motorsports when you played, the old Xbox, but you don't see it used a lot in iRacing. So that could be an interesting one. Phillip Island is one of my favorites, probably one of my top 5 tracks for iRacing. But Mount Panorama, that is A1 on my list, and I am super excited to see what these guys can do later on this season.
Yeah, that Bathurst run is going to be absolutely fantastic. I have said this a lot in my broadcasting career as we see Ken Glasser spinning, heading out of turn number 13. I think he hit the paint on the outside and just looped it around. Even in these dry conditions, that is super tough to try and get right. And may end up seeing some of the drivers get caught out by the challenge around this circuit all throughout tonight. An absolutely brilliant schedule to look forward to. And I will say, across the 12 races here for the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 series, all the broadcasts that you'll be able to catch here on Slow Motion Broadcasting every single Wednesday night from now through to the start of June. It'll be all the way through June. I was thinking, is it actually through June? Yes, it is all the way through June. June the 4th will be the final broadcast of this series. We'll be looking at crown some champions and have some fun as well. We'll actually be ending the season at Suzuka running on the West version of this track. So that will include this little section here that we're seeing Danushkar Borgi head through. That back straightaway, super important to try and get a good run through there. These F4 cars, I mentioned that they're basically go-karts with wings. They have a fantastic drafting ability, and based off the fact that I was coming off of a Formula V broadcast right before the start of this show, I can speak to how important the drafting can be in an iRacing event. These F4 cars can just blow past each other and blow their doors off with how quick the draft can be.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's that. I think you've called it before. You've called it the 2x4 for a wing on these things. There's just not a whole lot of downforce on them, but it's just enough to kind of hold them to the track, get them in shape. But they can get a little bit of dirty air when they get tucked in behind somebody. So these guys are going to be nose to tail through these S section that we're watching Danush kind of run through. And Danush, wow, that was close getting by there. But just remember also that these guys are with a no damage league. So as these guys get tangled up, bang into the wall, bang into each other, the magical gremlins come back out and put the car back together for them. So keeps them going, keeps them running. But the league definitely last season, I know, Ron, you were with us a few races. And as we progressed through the season, the racing action got better and better. Everybody got used to running with each other, kind of knowing each other's tendencies, where to make moves, where to do things, and it definitely got better as we got through the season.
Yeah, that's one thing to raise when it comes to a league like this. A lot of these drivers getting the opportunity to race around each other, sometimes for the first time, other times for the thousands. Some of the drivers that you'll be seeing all throughout this series, all throughout this season in this series, as I merge those words together, you'll be seeing a lot of these drivers a lot throughout this season, and they've been around the block before when it comes to the SRG F4 Championship. And we'll note at this point of the broadcast that Sim Racers Group, they don't just organize iRacing League races. If you want to learn a little bit more about all that Sim Racers Group does, you can head on off to www.simracersgroup.com, whether it be organizing sim racing events like this where drivers either in Sim Racers Group HQ in San Jose, California, or drivers all across the country and even in the world in certain cases can come together and have some absolutely fantastic fun on iRacing. Sim Racers Group does a lot, so if you want to learn more, head on over to simracersgroup.com for details. But the checkered flag out in this practice session, 1 hour long, and it was Stephen Case saying the fastest time did not improve on that 201.341, but he was still the quickest driver in that practice session. Of course, though, we can basically take all of that information from the practice session, maybe take a small little couple of bits here and there, and throw the rest of it away, Mike. We've got a 15-minute long qualifying session in front of us where the track's going to get jam-packed. These drivers are going to look to set the best times that they can, and it's going to get rather hectic.
Yeah, and with being an open qualifying session where the cars are on track all together at the same time, with so many cars on the track, it's definitely going to get a little spicy, as I've liked to say. We'll have to see how these guys get around. But as you said, Stephen Case setting the pace in that practice session with a 201.3. Danush was able to inch his way just a little bit closer. Adrian Lopez, one of our Inter One drivers, up into the 3rd spot. So we were talking about Tyrone earlier, maybe getting a little promotion, but maybe Adrian might need to get promoted too. We'll have to see after they get going racing here as we resume back into our qualifying session. It should be pretty interesting session for these guys to get going as we're starting to get people out on the track here shortly.
Yeah, drivers already setting, not saying sometimes, but already setting off on their out laps as we see Igor
Grunsky.
My apologies. Grunsky in the number 3 car, currently heading his way out of turn number 7. My apologies there. I was just going to note that these drivers getting this warm-up lap underway, and it is very much so a warm-up lap. Looking through at the iRacing weather forecast, little chance of rain later on in the session. Doesn't tick above 6, so at least according to my perspective. So hopefully won't have to worry about any sort of adverse weather affecting this season opening race, but I will note the ambient temperature about 65 degrees Fahrenheit, with the track temperature only being 66. So that's a little bit cool. There's a fine line when it comes to having good track temperature. I feel like this is still definitely on the cooler side, so I have a feeling this outlap for these drivers probably going to have a bit more weight and importance to it than some other rounds where it may be a bit warmer, like the races on Australia, for instance.
Yeah, no, the nice cool track temperature is going to help these guys get some good lap times. This track can get brutal. I know racing in some of the other series around here, some of the endurance races here, and I've seen track temps up to 120, 130 degrees, and man, that is so brutal trying to come through 130R or from the spoon, trying to carry a lot of speed where you're really dependent on the car just grabbing into the turn. But when the track is so hot and it's got the oil and grease and everything in it, it just makes it so slick. As you watch Igor tucked in behind car number 8 coming down the front straightaway, trying to get a little bit of extra draft off of Greg Meyer there, and Greg spins off into turn 2 there. That turn right there, Ron, is probably my nemesis. I have such a hard time getting through that double apex, trying to carry so much turn speed through there, and Greg, I feel your pain right there.
Yeah, I think the best way I can describe that experience heading off through turn number 1 and 2, because believe me, Mike, I've been there in my own iRacing misadventures, shall I say. Just heading through there, it's like, yeah, man, I got a great run heading through turn number 1. Oh, crap, there's a corner back there. That's usually how it goes, ain't it? It's just like, I finally got a good run heading through turn number 1, and then turn 2 just comes up on you way too quick, and you're like, so you find yourself in the South China Sea before you even think about hitting the brakes for turn 2.
So you do your David Hasselhoff impersonation out there in the beach, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. I will say, if I ever had to do that on the air, I don't think anything would draw away this audience quicker.
Yeah, I think that would make 2 of us. We'll just leave it right there, I think, Ron. We'll just leave it right there. As we see Joshua Corwin go by with the fast time so far. Tyrone De Silva in there, Jason Kotcher. Stephen Case comes by the line with that 201.4. So just a little bit quicker than, or a little bit slower than his practice. And that's pretty impressive on his first lap really out there. Not getting really into a rhythm, not getting into a flow, but able to turn off a 201.4 right off the bat. But I do have to say, Joshua Corwin, that is an impressive driver photo, my friend.
Yeah, that is, I gotta say, one of the most entertaining I've seen as well. That's a pretty killer beard as well. Someone who's been trying to grow out some scruff. The last time I fully shaved was, I think, back in mid-October. if my memory serves me correctly. With my high-pitched voice, you can probably tell I don't really have the testosterone to be able to grow a full beard, but I am trying my best. And even if my best looks mildly Amish at best, I'll just leave it off at that. Looking at these drivers still out there on the racetrack in this qualifying session. These qualifying sessions can go by quick in these F4 cars, because you usually think, oh yeah, 15 minutes around a racetrack, I probably have time for about, I don't know, we'll say 7 laps. With these F4 cars around a track like this, 2-minute plus lap times, not a lot of time for these drivers to try and get that job done. So there is a little bit of added pressure and a bit of a hustle that these drivers have to apply. In fact, I think that point is proven by the fact there's only a few drivers in this session who aren't out there on the track. I think the only ones are Varun Bali in the 045 car and Paul Mirkic in the number 55. So only 2 cars who are in the session, not out there on the track at the moment.
Yeah, it should get, I mean, we got a 15-minute session, so we're just past 6 minutes down. We still got a good 10 minutes to go, but these guys are starting to make their way around for their second time to lap if they're good and clean. Tyrone De Silva jumping up into that second spot. Joshua Corwin up into third now with a 202 flat. So good to see him jumping up there. Alex Velasco up into fourth. Athul Ganesh in fifth. So good sort going out. Christopher Eggert dropping back just a little bit. Not a very quick lap for our new alien driver. We'll have to see what he can get as he comes through the Casio Triangle and down the front straightaway. 203.3 was his last time by. Comes by the stripe this time by and gets a 202.4, so it jumps him up to 6th spot, working his way up the field. These tires definitely do take a little bit of work to get grooved in, to get warmed up, and but this track also, Ron, it does have some little off-track sections that you really got to be careful with.
Yeah, that is a very good point to raise, talking about some of the troubles that some of these drivers may have to face in terms of off-track encounters, and one of them is going to be the new reworked off-track physics. Been around now for, I guess this is the second season that we've had these grass and gravel physics, whereby if a driver goes off the road, it'll bring it right back onto the track. So that's going to be pretty sketchy for these drivers to have to worry about. I've already seen some patches of gravel around the track, and can kind of see a little bit of that as we're following Chris Eggert coming out of turn number 9. In these F4 cars, you hit a little bit of gravel at top speed, and it's going to go down about as well as a lead balloon. That's not going to work out for these drivers at all.
Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. And just watching some of these guys get around, this is a real tricky section right here as we kind of go on with that right front tire. Just watching them, you really want to push that outer limit right here, but you don't want to push too far. And then this is where a lot of people get hung off, is you can get off into those curbs right there. That first little grass section you can go out, but you really don't want to go much beyond that, because that's where your off track is. And then also when we come up here, coming through 130R, just you want to touch this inside curb just a little bit, and you could run out just out to that little green spot, but you do not want to go much wider than that. That again is another off track. This section right here is another spot that you can get an off track as well. That Casio Triangle, you can cut that inside line just a little bit and invalidate your lap. So we'll have to see how Chris comes by with a 202.4. So not much faster than, just a little slower than his other one. But we got a new car up onto the second spot. Kalen Michaelwitz up into the second spot now. So Stephen Case dropping his down, though, Ron. He's down to a 201.1 now.
Yeah, a little bit surprising. That's a rather big improvement from what we saw in the practice session earlier on. A couple of tenths, which may not seem like too big of a deal, but in these F4 cars, a small little gain like that, it takes a lot of skill to wheel these race cars around. We'll be seeing a lot of camera shots all throughout this season of these drivers having a saw at the wheel. These F4 cars, you're not going on a Sunday night cruise. in these cars. There's no doubt about it. You're having to work these cars around this track and just try and get the best time that you can. Scraping and clawing, it's the best way that I can describe it. These drivers going to hunker down, get the best times that they can. So a gain like that for Stephen Case, and for him to find himself with the gap he has over Caleb Michaelwitz, that's rather impressive. Stephen Case, the Inter-Alien, as much as he had a few times during last season where he was being challenged, as much as he's now not alone in the Inter-Alien class, he's looking to flex his muscles this year. And I think if anyone's going to do it, it is going to be the driver of that BS Autosports 243 car.
Yeah, last season he just kind of had some fun toying with these guys because he was running in that division by himself. But now he's got to put his stamp on that class. He's got to put his off track there. You're probably just jumping off the curb just a little bit too much. But he definitely's got to put ownership on being that Inter-Alien, the one that's the what we could call the OG of the Inter-Alien class, and take ownership of that league or that division. But we'll jump back to Tyrone De Silva. Tyrone actually able to jump up into that second spot last time by, up to a 201.6. So Tyrone really starting to stretch his legs as well. So we'll have to see if he can get even closer up to Steven. But Tyrone, the early leader in that Inter 1 class in qualifying, as we got about 3:30 left to go. So still plenty of time, plenty to find a draft friend to get hooked up with, to go down the straightaway with. And maybe get you a couple extra tenths when you're pulling with somebody down that back straight or front straightaway.
Well, Stephen Case has clearly decided that that's it for him, and in this qualifying session, he thinks that's the most amount of pace that he can get to add that 243 car. I mean, yeah, he has a pretty significant cushion, so if anyone feels comfortable in this qualifying session, it's probably going to be him. I'm looking through right now, trying to see any sort of gaps that we have that are a similar size to that. You have to go a little bit farther down the qualifying order to find anyone that far in front or that far in front of any of their competitors. It is rather close at the moment. 201.1 for Stephen Case on the provisional pole, and Rodolfo Samoido in the number 34 car, saying a 207.3, which is it may seem like a bit of time difference as we see synchronized off-track encounters heading down into the Casio Triangle. It may seem like 6 and a few tenths of a second is a pretty big gap to have between this field, but around a 2-minute plus lap with these F4 cars that are super tough to drive, that is rather close. These drivers and the competitors in this SRG series always impress me in terms of how close these races are.
No, and it's a good it's a good level racing with these guys. There's some guys with lower I ratings, lower safety ratings, just kind of dabbling their way into it. But this is an intermediate league. This is where they really learn their legs. This is where they learn their racecraft and get better. And the only way they're going to really get better is by racing with those faster guys. And this is a great opportunity for them. And these F4s are a little bit different, a little bit harder to handle. They are, just a little more challenging to try to. You have to really carry a lot of speed through these turns, rather than like with a GT3 or even a prototype. You really have to go point shoot with those cars. Where these ones, you have to really, really carry your speed through the turns. And these guys definitely are going to learn that just by running with faster cars. And that's how I progressed, is just by driving with different people, learning their lines, following around. And that's definitely what I've watched some of these guys last season really progress, as though we watched Neil Day get spun out just a little bit and tag that inside wall, just as we're talking about progression. Neil did a good job last season, making some good progress as well. So we'll have to see how he's able to do this season as we come on with Michael Hui. He's a newbie. I have not seen his name yet. We'll have to learn true pronunciation for him. Sorry, Michael, if we see. It's what we did, Ron. Well, let me rephrase that. That's what I just did.
You say that as if I am any better when it comes to name pronunciations. I'm from Philadelphia, and as one of our SMB colleagues, Mr. Randall McGrew, once said, Ron's from Philadelphia. English is his second language. So, yeah, it's I can't really judge when it comes to some of the name pronunciation, but I will say some new drivers coming into this series and already impressing Here's a new driver running in the 2-3-4 car, currently setting a 202.180 in this qualifying session. It's Ope Oladipo. He's currently slotted in 7th as it stands currently. That's a pretty good debut for him. Some other drivers in either their series debut or one of their first races in a little while here from the SRG series really putting in some good times with the checkered flag out in this qualifying session as well. We are officially into crunch time. As you can see, Lopez looping it, heading through turn number 15, 16.
Yeah, it's a little tangled up with some people coming through there, so we'll have to see as these guys come across the line to finish their last time lap. Ope was with us the last couple races last season. He joined us a little late. He started in Inter 2, worked his way up into Inter 1, and he does have some pace, so we'll have to see what he can do in the Alien class as we watch Dan Swanbeck come by the line. Dan jumping up to the 27th spot, and see what else these guys can do. Aaron Van Wagner comes by and does not improve on his time either. As we watch the last couple guys come through, there comes Rodufo. Couple cars still on the track going around. Rafael Cardenas looks like he's just kind of might be on pace, but it looks like he's just kind of casually driving around. Finishes lap out. Josh Corwin coming around for a final lap here. So this should be just about wrapping up our qualifying session. Corwin with a 201.7, putting him up into the 5th spot there, Ron.
Yeah, that is a super improvement from Corwin in the 037 car, doing it just under the wire as well. That was pretty good. His practice time was a 2:02.2, so to go from a 2:02.2 in the practice session to a 2:01.7 in qualifying, that is a rather big improvement. Half a second, to be a bit more precise. So that is rather good as well. And actually, as I was in there, I was seeing some drivers referencing the moment from the F1 Australian Grand Prix, and Charles Leclerc reporting that he had a seat full of water. So I guess it must be the water even in the sim as well. Some more drivers still out there on track, just bringing it around into the pits. That's Rafael Cardenas in the number 92 car, exploring. I believe that's the old motorcycle pit entry around here. Potentially, I'm not too sure. I've always just seen those roads through the Casio Triangle. It feels like there's 50,000 different roads that you can take. I feel like one of them eventually just leads you going, I don't know.
You'll find your way there
sort
eventually.
Of like fast food drive-through place, yeah.
Kind of like on was it Le Mans where you have the KFC on the back straightaway. Maybe they'll add some drive-through for us here next year.
Yeah, potentially. That's one thing that always made me laugh about the old Nashville street circuit that IndyCar raced at a couple of years ago. You could see gas stations and like Holiday Inns and like hotels and stuff like that around the track, and I always got a little bit of a kick out of that. But we're in for a good season. It's set to begin in a couple of moments' time. There's your qualifying results, and we're going to get that starting grid loaded up for you in the not-too-far-off future, because my, oh my, do we have a good season to look forward to here from the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Series, exclusively here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And if you're enjoying the broadcast thus far and want to stay tuned with everything going on, happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. We have got a brilliant season to look forward to, and a lot of action coming up here on Slow Motion Broadcasting on that final push to break 1,000 subscribers, and I think we may be able to get it done in the not too far off future. So those are your qualifying results, noting that Paul Merrick and Varun Bali did not set a qualifying time, so I'm not sure as to whether those drivers are actually in the session or not. So there may be some light amount of chicanery as a result of that, to invoke a little bit of 1950s radio terminology. So with that being said, these drivers lining up. It's a standing start here from the SRG series, and it will be the Inter-Alien himself, Mr. Stephen Case, starting this race from the pole. Kayla Michaelwood set to join him on the front row. Tyrone Da Silva, Danush Parborgi occupying the second row. Going to have, at the very least, 31 starters set to grab the green in a couple of moments. Time to get this season underway. Mike, it's going to be a good one.
No, absolutely. We've been talking about this whole time. It's about ready to get this season started. We've already got some people in the chat looking to see who's going to do it. Alex Velasco in the chat. Who's the bets this week? Once again, it is DP Day. That is, or the Danush Paborgi Sandwich Day. So when we finally open up that SMB sandwich shop, the first one's going to be the DP sandwich.
That sounds like a rather interesting idea. Maybe that, or I just haven't had enough food today. But right to get the season underway for the SRG Intermediate F4 Championship. The lights are out and the drivers are on their way. Pretty even keel start with all of our drivers at the front of the field, but Stephen Case looking to cover off that inside line, hang down into turn number 1. That's a pretty convincing start from him. Kalen Michaelwitz looking to try and get the move done, but Danush Barborgi looking to get the job done on him. Side by side coming out of turn number 2, down into 3. Looks like Kayla Michaelwitz in the 888 car going to withstand that challenge. Stephen Case looking to extend to an early lead. Tyrone Da Silva dropping back down to 4th after a fantastic start from Barborgi. Looking at some drivers getting off to some flyers a little bit farther in the back. Driver making up 4 spots thus far. That's Jason Trantham. He's in the number 28 car running in P15. He's up 4 spots ever since the drop of the green flag. Some drivers getting off to some flyers.
Yeah, that's a great start from Jason to get up there 4 spots. And Christopher Eggert right behind him dropping back 6. So you definitely saw during that start right there, you saw everybody spreading out. It looks like a couple people might have been sleeping on the job when they got started. But it was a pretty good, clean start. We don't see any real impacts, no crashes. And just see a couple off tracks from people going off to slipping, just dipping those tires off into the grass. But you see a challenge going on right now. In that second spot, side by side, Kalen and Danush going at it. Danush on that outside, trying to hold that outside around spoon turn. This is definitely a tough spot to hang on. You can see it just hanging out just a little bit. But Kalen Michaelwitz on the inside coming into 130R. He tucks back in, gets a little bit of draft. But Tyrone Da Silva sitting right behind him as well. This could get interesting as they come into 130R. And Tyrone up into the 3rd spot now, jumping up into 3rd, tucking in behind Danush. And Adrian Lopez up into 4th now. So, Ron, that's been a lot of action going on here right off the start.
A lot. Oh, contact being made. Look at that huge crash coming around the final corner. Barborgi hit the pit wall. He hit the attenuator. That car is ready for the scrap heap, but thankfully damage being off allowed the wheels to pop back onto that race car. That was a big one. Nevertheless, Barborgi, who started at the front of the field, was briefly running firmly in the podium spots for sure. Now finds himself in P11, the benefactor and all that. Going to be Adrian Lopez in the 007 car. He's made it up to P2, up 4 spots from where he started in this race. But that was an odd moment from Barborgi. We may need to take a look at a replay to see what went wrong for the driver of the 023 car. That was a rather big mistake, and he nearly took out some drivers with him in the process. I think Tyrone Da Silva in the 480 car was the one who nearly got caught out by that the most, but a huge incident right at the end of the first lap.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happened here because Danush just coming out of pit lane and just smacks that inside wall, and then he just collects that other car. It's just, man, a little bit of sheer chaos going on. But like we said, we see the cars just pop back together and get back going. So real strange incident. I'm not sure if he just wasn't paying attention to what was going on, where he was at. But it was just a little odd to come through and you just kind of keep turning into the pit wall there.
And actually hearing from the YouTube chat from a user there, also thank you to all of you tuning into this broadcast here on SMB tonight. Hearing that Danush Barborgi's screen froze for about 4 seconds before that crash. He should be counting his lucky stars. In fact, we don't have any damage in this series. Otherwise, I feel like there will have been a very excitable call to the people who make his computer monitor, and I can't necessarily blame him for that either. A rather hectic start to get this season underway. Stephen Case is still your race leader. However, there's been some drama a little bit farther in the back involving Aaron Von Wagner in the number 6 car. Let's see. He had an off-track moment through 7 into 8 and 9 right now. This is the second. Degner carries a lot of speed and bang into the wall. That's a big hit for him. Thankfully, though, in this series, it's and he immediately towed back to the pits. And after an off-track moment like that, I can't necessarily blame him.
It looks like we're going to go on with Ken Glasser too. Ken having a little issue as well. We'll have to see what happened here. Just spinning out, and collects a couple cars coming through the spoon turn there. Looks like Dan Clark in there as well. So a couple cars getting a little action, and it looks like we got another one here of Tyrone De Silva having an issue as well. We'll have to see what happened here with Tyrone.
Oh! Contact heading down into the Casio triangle. De Silva is having such a smooth start to this race. Things have kind of gone awry for him ever since that poor Borgi incident hang out of turn number 17. Let's take a look at another replay of this. Corwin was right in front at the time. Let's see the 037 car's perspective, and all that contact being made into the braking zone ends up in the wall. That could have been a much bigger incident. Thankfully, no other cars getting collected in that shemazel.
Yeah, no, that was could have been really bad, but they both were able to kind of get out of the way and not have too big of a pileup behind them. But back up in that second spot, Adrian Lopez really showing the way right now in that second spot. Kayla Mikowitz in third, tucked in right behind him. But you see Stephen Case out in front right now, leading him around. Stephen Case with about a 2-second advantage right now on the field. And Kayla Mikowitz in third, and then you got a little bit of a gap back to Alex Velasco in the fourth spot. So you see everybody kind of getting gapped out just a little bit, and it's just everybody kind of settling in, trying to find their way, trying to find some people to run with. And as you see the draft party starting right now on the front straightaway, trying to keep them from drafting down into turn one. Alex Lopez leading them around, Kalen in third right now.
Wiggling and wobbling, bobbing and weaving, heading down the straightaways, looking to try and break that draft as best as possible. Going to be super important all throughout this season, especially come time for that race at Bathurst that we mentioned earlier on. That's going to be coming up later on this season here for the SRG F4 Championship. That heading down the Conrad straightaway, we're going to see these drivers give the tires on their race car maybe more of an exercise heading down the straightaways than they will heading off through some of the corners with the amount of mad weaving that will be going on there. We'll note, though, as we're following him in this 07 car, there's been a rather brilliant race thus far for Adrian Lopez. Finds himself leading in the Inter 1 class, holds on to the fast lap 2 at a 2:01.8, which is rather quick, I believe. I'm going to look through right now. That may have been right about the same time that he set in qualifying. Yeah, in qualifying, he set a 2:01.890. Thus far in the race at 2:01.836. So Adrian Lopez looking very fast at the moment. We're going to take a look at a moment that may not have been ideal for Chris Cook in the 322 car. Let's have a look at it here, Mike.
Coming into that Casio triangle, looks like the same thing that happened earlier, just coming in a little hot and just misjudging that brake zone, and gets tangled up with somebody there. Chris losing quite a few spots there, and it looks like we got one more wreck to take a look at. My friend Michael here getting a little off track there, coming under the bridge. Let's see what happens. Something must happen coming into that hairpin. And coming into that hard braking zone, and reconnects, and then spins out. Just loses a little bit through there. Might have had a little lag issue with them there, but just getting it squared away and not having any issues with anybody else.
Yeah, a little bit of lag. It's my our SMB friend and colleague, Mr. Joshua Wilkie, always describes internet issues and stuff like that as like a part failing on your race car in real life racing. So a little bit of random number generation not going your way, and it could it could make or break your race, which is unfortunate. But hey, I gotta say, credit where credit's due to the people at iRacing. The fact that we've gotten to the point in the sim racing world where people all across the nation, all across the continent, all across the world can be able to compete in the same events week after week. Lots of these drivers run from California. Some of these drivers have definitely made their appearance at the SRG HQ in San Jose, California. Some of them are actually running there this evening, so that's pretty awesome to see. And just seeing a lot of different drivers up and down this grid. Lots of drivers with different backgrounds, lots of drivers with different looking race cars. A lot of different stuff going on in this series, so it's a little bit hard to keep track of at certain points in time, but these races can be some of the best in my time covering iRacing events, and they fly by as well. We're coming up to the halfway mark already, Mike.
Wow. I think you and I did a broadcast one time, and I just realized, holy cow, we're at the end with like 2 minutes to go, and we're watching on with Rodufio, and wow, that was an interesting one where it's like he just kind of stopped to let everybody go by. Very interesting shot from him there, just coming into the Casio triangle through the 130R here, and right in the middle of the lane, and just kind of gets on the brakes. I don't know if he's meaning to let everybody go by, but that was definitely an interesting shot. And then we also got one wreck here from Kukaran Dylan coming through the end of the S's here. Dylan in that black and green 24 coming to the top of the S's, gets a tire off into the dirt there, gets spun around, rips the wheel right off of it, and luckily able to get it back up and get it back going. But like you said, we're just past the halfway point. Ron, you want to take us through a running order with everybody right now?
Yeah, let's do that. A little bit over the halfway mark in this race, and we still see Stephen Case in the race lead for now. I'm going to add in that for now. This driver, Adrian Lopez, the leader currently in Inter 1 in that 007 car. He is stupidly quick, so holds on to the fast lap of the race, now at a 2:01.131. That is very fast. That is teetering around the same time that Stephen Case set to grab the pole for this race. So Adrian Lopez really quick. Caleb Michaelwitz, who had a good start and then dropped down like a rock throughout the second half of that first lap. He's rebounded back to third, rounding out your podium as it stands at the moment, your overall podium as it stands currently. Running out your Inter-Alien podium is the other 777 car. This is Alex Velasco, who are following right now a little bit farther back from that front three. Ope Olapido in Ope Oladipo, my apologies, there. Second tries the charm for the driver with only a few races under his belt here in the SRG series. The driver of the 243 car currently slotted in fifth at the moment, and I'm sure he would rather have the 1 at the beginning of 234 instead of the 5 at the end of it. Danush Barborgi, we're following him right now, still on the recovery after that moment hang through turn 17. He's currently right in front of series admin Jason Kocher in the 422 car, currently running 7th overall. Going a little bit farther back there, you find Artul Ganesh in the 666 car, currently slotted in 8th as it stands at the present moment. Another Inter 1 competitor. You'll be able to differentiate all the other different classes. Here's Jason Trantham in the number 28 car. He, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, is your current leader in Inter 2, running in 28th as it stands, running in the number 28 car in 9th as it stands at the moment. Wouldn't be ideal if he was running in 28th. Running at your top 10 currently is Joshua Corwin in the 037 car. He's had up and down race, got involved in that incident, hang down into the Casio triangle earlier on, and it's been rather smooth driving for a lot of these drivers outside of a couple of incidents here and there, but a brilliant way to kick off season 2 of 2025. Rafael Cardenas in the number 92 car is currently classed in P11, a little bit farther back from our 10th place runner currently. Not terribly far behind him is Lloyd Conway in the 447 car, currently classed in 12th. Right behind him in lucky number P13 is Adam Duvall in the number 22 car. Right behind him is Diego Posada in the 44 car, classed in P14 as it stands currently. Going right behind to find Tyler Hagan in the 99. He occupies the final spot inside the top 15 as it stands at the moment. This is Ryan Chia in the number 9 car, currently classed in 16th. You have to go a little bit farther in the back, a shot to find Christopher Cook in the 322, currently slotted in 17th. The P18, we have Igor Grunsky in the number 3 machine. He's running in 18th as it stands currently, coming out of turn number 11, the hairpin right now. Running right behind him, we have Thomas Brashear in the number 1 car. He's not running P1. Instead, he is running 1 spot inside of the top 20. The final top 20 spot currently being occupied by Tyrone De Silva in the 480 car. He's had a rather scrappy race. Credit where credit's due to De Silva, the fact he's still running inside the top 20 despite the difficulties he's had to face thus far. Christopher Eggert in the 222 car is currently classed at just barely outside of that top 20 in 21st. Right behind him, we have Daniel Bujak in the number 36 car. You have to go a little bit farther back to find Dan Swanbeck in the number 7 machine, currently classed in 23rd at the present moment. Greg Meyer, who I believe is a newcomer to this series, and I say that because I was getting his role sorted out in the slow motion broadcasting Discord server a little bit earlier on. He's currently classed in 24th. Karen Dillon in the number 24 car. Kulkaran Dillon. Thank you very much, Mike. I had to get the pronunciation. See, you're dragging yourself through the mud about the pronunciations earlier on. You're the pronunciation maestro compared to me when it comes to this series. He's currently classed in 25th. Ken Glasser, who we had that onboard lap with in that practice session earlier on, is currently in P26 as it stands at the moment in the number 41 car. The gaps start getting a little bit bigger when you see Samoido and Neil Day. And we've got Michael Hyun in the number 83 car. Dan Clark currently occupying the final spot inside the top 30, and the rest of the drivers have all run into some slight difficulties. But in all that drama, Adrian Lopez has been able to jump into the race lead. Stephen Case has dropped back down to P3, and he's a little bit farther back. I think there's a moment for Stephen Case because last time by, he set a 2:09.9. That was not a good lap time for the driver of the 243 car at all. So I think we may need to load up a replay, Mike, because something clearly has gone desperately wrong for the Inter-Alien.
Yeah, let's see what happened here. Adrian Lopez really coming through that double apex right behind Steven, and he spins out. Stephen Case losing it around that double apex and is going to drop back into that 3rd spot. Gets it back going and loses some valuable ground to these guys. So that tough spot for him. And but good up on Adrian Lopez. And here they come down the front straightaway. He still has Kayla Michaelwitz just trying to draft down him down the front straightaway here. And as we're closing in with less than 4 minutes to go, we got 3:30 left on the clock. They got enough time for like 2 more laps to get by. So man, this is gonna definitely get interesting here with Adrian Lopez, our Inter 1 leader right now, leading overall and showing these guys the way around.
This is an absolutely magnificent debut for Adrian Lopez if he can hang on. Still got the challenge from Michael Wicks right behind though, so he's not out of the he's not out of the I'm trying to think of the best way. He's not out of the firing line just yet in terms of how this race is going to go. Michael Wicks still showing a lot of pace. I'm curious what these drivers have been doing in terms of recent lap times. Obviously, you can see their fast laps right now. Lopez at 2:01.1. Michael Wicks also at a 2:01.1, only a matter of about 300ths of a second separating those two drivers in terms of their best laps of the race. But in terms of their last laps, Adrian Lopez last time by set a 2-minute 2.0 compared to Kayla Michaelwitz at a 2:01.8. So that gap, it may not seem like a whole lot, but that's a rather significant margin. And I wouldn't even rule out Stephen Case getting back involved in that fight last time by. Set his fastest lap of the race at a 2:01.3. Stephen Case, after that moment, he is clearly a man on a mission. The real question is, will he have the time to be able to make it up? I don't believe he will with a 5-second gap and only about 1 more lap of racing action left to go. I think it's going to be a dogfight between Lopez and Michael Wicks.
No, I have to agree, but here's our closest battle right now. You've got the internet sensation, Danush Paborji, sitting in that 5th spot, trying to make a move on Alex Velasco as they come down the front straightaway. And I believe this should be their white flag run. I don't see Barney there waving anything, and not quite sure if that looks like. Nope, don't see him there yet. But depends on where the leaders came by if this is going to be their white flag or not. But these guys are going at it. Is Danush all over the back wing of Alex right now, coming through the S's, trying to make a move. This is a battle for that inner alien position. This is like I guess you could call it the podium position in alien class. But as you see back out in front, Adrian Lopez, that's your guy right now. He is pulling away, and he's got a full second advantage on Kalen.
Yeah, Adrian Lopez he's heading through turn number 8 into turn 9 right now. He's only got 8 more corners left to go to cap off an absolutely brilliant way to get the season underway. You see that Thomas Brashear a little bit farther back in the number 1 car is out of this race. He's actually been disqualified for hitting the 20 incident point limit. So that's what's going down for the driver of the number 1 car. Will join Van Wagner, and the only retirements thus far in this race, Bally and Mirchik, who are the first drivers out of this race, did not actually take the start. So I gotta say, despite having some incidents here and there, it's been a rather brilliant way to kick off this SRG Intermediate F4 Championship. And for Adrian Lopez, he rounds his way around the spoon section for one more time. That gap to himself and Michael Wisk has actually closed up a little bit, now under 0.6 of a second. It's probably going to take a dive, though, from Michael Wisk in the 888 car to try and get a move done. Heading down now, coming out of 130R. Let's see, is it enough for Michael Wiks? He's not close enough, heading down into the braking zone. Coming out of the Casio Triangle, Lopez in the 007 car. He has been shaken instead of stirred in this race, and he's going to grab the checkered flag to win it here in Suzuka. Lopez, the Inter 1 driver, beats all the aliens and wins this race. Michael Wiks going to win the Inter Alien class, finishing in P2. Stephen Case set to round out your overall podium in 3rd. Velasco going to finish in 4th, a 3rd of the Inter 1 drivers, Inter Alien drivers, I should say. I got to say, in terms of that Inter 1 championship battle, that's a rather big result for Lopez to get the season underway. Jason Kocher going to be the 2nd of the Inter 1 drivers, and Rafael Cardenas going to be the top finishing of the Inter 2 drivers. But Mike, what a way to get the season underway.
No, that was definitely a great showing from everybody, and Adrian Lopez just laying it down on these guys and doing a great job. And first time it's the first time I've seen him up front with these guys, and oh man, there was some sheer carnage right back there, just somebody running into the wall. But kind of completely lost my train of thought watching that car just smash into the wall like that.
Yeah, it's a flashback to the Week 13 Ray Esports Weekend Warriors runoffs broadcast that we were doing a couple of days ago here on SMB, Mike, seeing some of those drivers burn up their equipment and decide that their cars were better off being scattered in a million pieces all over the racetrack instead of being in one whole piece, returning them back to the pits. But an absolutely brilliant debut for Lopez. Well done to Cardenas in the number 92 car for grabbing the Inter 1 win at the end of it all, and also credit where credit's due to all the competitors in the Inter Alien class. Despite the fact he was the only Alien 1 season ago, I think that new refreshed Inter Alien class is going to be keeping Stephen Case honest throughout this season.
No, absolutely. He's definitely going to have his hands full this season as we're coming up on the results. As you see, Adrian Lopez taking the overall win and taking the win in Inter 1. Kalen Michaelwitz finishing in that 2nd spot with a great drive there at the end, trying to close that gap, but finishing 2nd overall, taking that Inter Alien win. And then Stephen Case with that just rough time coming through that double apex, spinning out coming in just a little too hot, drops him back to 3rd. Then you got Alex Velasco finishing in 4th. DP finishing in that 5th spot. Ope Oladipo finishing in 6th. Jason Kocher coming in and 7th in 2nd spot. 7th overall, 2nd spot in Inter 1. Then Athul Ganesh finishing in the 8th spot. Then you got your first Inter 2 finisher, Rafael Cardenas, showing the way in that Inter 2 class. Joshua Corwin rounding out your top 10. In the 11th spot, you got Lloyd Conway, Diego Posada in 12th. Christopher Eggert in 13th, Igor Grunsky in 14th, Tyrone De Silva finishing in that 15th spot. Then you got Christopher Cook in 16th, Jason Trantham in 17th, Tyler Hagan in the 18th spot, Adam Duvall 19th, Daniel Bujak in the 20th spot, Ryan Shia in 21st, Daniel Swanbeck in 22nd, Kukaran Dillon in 23rd, Greg Meyer 24th, Ken Glasser 25th, Rodolfo Sumudio in the 26th spot, Neil Day in 27th, Dan Clark 28th, Michael Hewen in 29th, Thomas Brashear 30th, Aaron Wagner 31st, Paul Mirchek and Varun Bali not going on the race.
So those are your results at the end of this opening race of the season. And Mike, we got some drivers waiting up there in the interview waiting area, and I think I'm going to maybe spoil myself a little bit and have a chat with our overall race winner at the end of it all. Adrian, welcome into the commentary booth. Sorry for dragging you in mid-sentence there, but welcome into the commentary booth here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, and congratulations on the win here at Suzuka, not only in class, but overall as well. Talk us through a brilliant way to get the season underway for you.
Yeah, that one, like just about everything from me. I'm sweating in my seat right now. That was a lot. I know Steven's fast. I've raced him before. I watched him last season. He was kind of my my goal to pass, but I know that's not easy with him. So I'm kind of surprised I was able to do it at this track.
That was just an absolutely brilliant debut from you, and trying to deal with the difficulties around this track. I don't think there's anyone on iRacing or just about anywhere on in the sim racing world that will say that Suzuka is a super easy track to try and nail down, doubly so in cars like this. Can you talk us through the challenges that you felt as a driver out there on the track?
Yeah, well, everyone's eagerness in the first lap makes it really hard through the S's, so you got to be super careful. Couple guys were sneaking by where they probably shouldn't, but at least we made it out alive, so that was okay. And then defending from Kalian was pretty hard, but thankfully Steven's draft at least helped me not worry about it too much on the straights. But after he spun out, then I was really worried. But from the beginning, this track isn't really great to do hot laps every single lap for 20 minutes. It really beats up the tires. So taking some slightly strange lines, especially at turn 13, 14, to try to help degrade the tires a little bit less. You sacrifice on entry speed, but you gain on exit and you gain on the tires. So I knew as the race would go on, hopefully it might help towards the end, and it finally did, because I started noticing my times just inching away from Kalian.
I gotta say, you bring up a very good point talking about tire management, and I mean, as you just raised, this track, not really one that helps tires. It's usually one that just acts like a giant cheese grater on all of them. So going from one twisty track to another for the next round of this championship, going to be running at Tsukuba on the full layout of that very small track. That's basically like a go-kart track on the iRacing platform. So what are your thoughts heading into the next round of this championship?
Actually, that track I'm a little bit more confident in than this track. I've raced that one before with most of the guys here, and I've done really, really well in that one. And I know some of the guys here absolutely hate that track. So I am looking forward to that one, actually.
I know from my perspective as a commentator, I'm really looking forward to that as well. I don't know what it is about Tsukuba. Maybe the fact it was the first track I ever drove at on iRacing, maybe my flashbacks to driving it on Forza Motorsports 4. Whatever it is, that track has a soft spot in my heart, and nice to hear that you're going to be feeling confident heading into that race in 1 week's time. But Adrian, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary booth. And before we let you go and celebrate this win, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Yeah, thanks to you guys and Jason for getting this whole community going. It was only just a couple years ago where it was barely any of us doing this together, and now there's a whole massive group of us. So thanks to those guys out there, and thanks to my girlfriend watching at home, supporting me all the way over there.
There you go, man. Always have to shout out the girlfriend at the end of the interview. But Adrian Lopez, congratulations on the win in class and overall, and excited to see you back out on the racetrack all throughout this season, man. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations.
Yep, thank you. Hope to bring a good show next week.
And that man was Adrian Lopez, the winner at the end of this race. And man, that was absolutely... That was a brilliant drive from him. There's no doubt about that. But Mike, I will let you. I'll let you do the honors of taking the next interview. Who do you want to have a chat with?
All right, we will pull in our Inter-Alien winner and pull him down into our booth here. Kalen Mikowitz taking the win in the Inter-Alien. Kalen, how did your race go? It looked like a pretty clean start from everybody. But, you just got tucked in with Adrian there. You just couldn't quite get by him.
Yeah, I think it was in 130R right after that. I lost like 4 positions, I think. Yeah, it's kind of punishing if you're passive at the start like I am. People sometimes try to take advantage of that, but somehow got by them all and was behind Adrian. I was just happy to run behind him. I was happy with the P2. I was just gonna follow him around, and then he started catching Steven, which was like amazing because Adrian did really, really well this race. Like it's probably the best race I've seen him run. And so once he started catching Steven, I was like, okay, I think time to turn on the speed. And so I was trying to figure out how to get around him, but once Steven spun, it was just backseat driving from there. Like I don't need to pass Adrian. We're both in first. Let's just finish this one out. But yeah.
Good. It was a good action from you guys today, and good to see you guys. I saw you guys really playing some draft games down the front straightaway. It looked like you guys had a lot of fun. So great running today. We've got a lot of fun tracks coming up: Tsukuba, Fuji, Sandown. Anything that's on the calendar coming up that you really got a bullseye on?
Yeah, I really love Tsukuba because it's so simple. There's no elevation changes. It's just a bunch of hairpins. So I tend to like that course a lot, and I think as long as I get a good qualifying, that track should be good, or else I'll probably end up stuck behind someone. That's how that usually goes. I'm not too excited about Mount Panorama. Never driven it. Don't fancy smashing my face into a concrete barrier and then having someone else fly over the top of me or something. But
all right, well, the interview is now over because that's my favorite track. So thanks for coming, Kalen, and have a nice... No, I'm just kidding. Didn't mean to cut you off there, but no, I agree that is not an easy track to get a hold of, and definitely can be very daunting. So while we got you up here, anyone to give a shout out or thanks to while we got you here?
Shout out to the slow motion broadcasting team. You guys do a really great job, and it's really fun to send these videos to my friends and family. So I really appreciate all the work you guys put in to capture and really do a good job capturing all the fights and the battles. It's really exciting to watch. Thanks again to Jason always.
Awesome. Well, Kalen, congrats on your win in Inter-Alien 1, and we look forward to seeing you next week at Scuba.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Ron. Bye.
Thank you. And that was our Inter-Alien winner. Ron, you got time for one quick more interview here?
That we do. Stephen Case now joining us in the commentary booth. Stephen, welcome into the booth. It's a P3 finish for you overall at the end of this race at Suzuka, but maybe with a bit more that could have been done at the end of that. What are your thoughts about this race here at Suzuka?
Hey guys, I don't think there's anything I could have done at the end, but I could have definitely not spun out on turn 9.
I think it's just losing control of the tires, which is obviously so important in these Formula 4s. Once the tires go on protest, you're kind of screwed no matter what you do. I've done enough F4 broadcasts and driven that car enough to kind of get that vibe of how that usually goes. So tough that happened. It was looking like a very good one for you, but overall, some positives to take from this. Obviously, showing the same pace that he did last season, and a pretty good schedule to look forward to of races here. Tsukuba coming up in 1 week's time. Confident about your chances there?
Yeah, I mean, I love Tsukuba. It's a track that you can really test the limits there because you have so many chances to retry every corner. Like the track's so short that you can really practice and get it down. So yeah, I feel pretty confident.
I gotta say, Tsukuba, I mentioned it earlier on in my interview with the Inter 1 driver Adrian Lopez, but that track is super fun for me. I don't know what, it's like catnip for me on iRacing. But Steven, excited to see you back out on the racetrack for the rest of the season, looking to show off that same pace it has showed one season ago. And before we let you go and get some practice in for that Suzuka round, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Just thank the SRG guys, Jason and Tyler for putting this stuff on. I know I probably said that last time, but it's just, we keep growing and more people. Pretty soon we'll have 2 different F4 leagues, or an F4 and an F3, I think. So that'll be pretty nice. So yeah.
I think that would be super cool if it's with the Dallara F3 car. That was like my first love on iRacing. So keep my fingers crossed I'll be able to cover a series with those. And if it's with SRG, that'll be pretty dang awesome as well. But Stephen Case, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Well done on the overall podium, and excited to see you back out on the track for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And that right there was Stephen Case, your P3 finisher at the end of this race here at Suzuka. Mike, final thoughts on this opening race of the season before we wrap things up?
Definitely did not disappoint. These guys always put on a great show, and I am super excited to see the rest of the season. Like we've kind of gone through with the list of all the tracks that are coming up. It is definitely going to be a spicy season with all these fun tracks.
Yeah, spicy seasons to look forward to here from the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship, but have it be known that is far from the end of the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting on Tuesday nights at 9:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can catch the action for the American Muscle Series, the old Mustangs running around some of the best tracks that iRacing has to offer. That's some good racing. They just had a rain race this past weekend at Road America. Talk about some fun. Wild Card Wednesdays you can catch every single week here on SMB with the Ray Esports Club Racing League and the Sim Racers Group F4 Series as well. Come time for the weekends, though, we have got you booked with the Weekend Warriors Saturdays with the Formula Vs at 2:10 p.m. Then come time for Super Sundays here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, the Formula Forwards at 12:45, followed 2 hours later by the Spec Racer Forward Weekend Warriors. And then that's not even the end of the action on Sundays, as we got the action from the XSLR Series. They've just wrapped up their time on the dirt. They're going to be moving on to some dirt road course action. Talk about some fun. That is some good stuff on Sundays at 8:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But as for this broadcast of the opening race of the Sim Racers Group Intermediate F4 Championship here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, I think that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Mullins, and Mike Braun, working the comms and the cams with me on today's broadcast, I say thank you also very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting tonight, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.